All right, so today we're going to be looking at using percents dealing with proportions. So our warm-up, we're just going to review how to solve proportions. So again, I'd like you to try these 3 problems on your own. Please pause the video. Once you've completed all 3 problems, please turn the video back on and we'll go over the answers to them. So in problem 1, we're going to cross multiply and we're going to have 6n. And we're going to do 12 times 25 to get the other side of my equation, which is 300. We're going to divide each side by 6. And we will get n equaling 50. That's the first one. Second one, cross multiply, I get 8y equaling 5 times 18, which is 90. Divide each side by 8. And we get y equaling 11.25. Last one is the word problem, like the seal problem we did in class yesterday. 2 tennis balls every 3 seconds, so tennis balls on the top. Time necessary is on the bottom, so 3 seconds. How many tennis balls will the machine throw in 18 seconds? Well, 18 is also time, so that goes in our denominator, leaving x on the top. So I end up with 3x equaling 36. Divide each side by 3. And x will be 12 tennis balls. I'm running out of room on the side, so I'm not actually going to write the word tennis balls. But please realize you would need a label, and tennis ball would be the label that you'd want. So as I mentioned when we started, even before we went into the warm-up, I said we're going to be using proportions to deal with percents. And we're going to be using some very specific formulas that I think are pretty easy to use to help us with these percent problems. So the formula that we're going to be using is the is over of equals percent over 100, where is and of are just keywords that you can read in the problem. The percent is whatever percentage is given, if there is one. And that percent is always over the 100 in the denominator. And that's because percent is always based out of 100. In addition to is over of, there's also another way the formula can be worded. It's the same formula, I'm just changing the words. And that is part over total equals percent out of 100. Same thing, but now we're using part and total instead of is and of. So basically what we're going to be doing through this lesson is just moving the x around the proportion and finding the missing pieces. So we're always going to start with 2 fraction bars, and we're always going to put 100 underneath the denominator of the second one. The problem says of 25, so 25 goes on the denominator of our first one, and is 17, 17 goes on the top. We will go ahead and cross multiply, so 25x equals 1700. Divide each side by 25. And we end up with x being 68. That x that we are missing is a percent, so you do need to make sure that you have a percent sign following your answer, so 68%. Number 2, same general process, 100 on the bottom, of 20 is 15. X on the opposite corner. When we cross multiply, we get 20x equaling 1500. I'm going to divide each side by 20. And I get x equaling 75%. So in this next slide, again, all we're going to do is move the x around the proportion, so your basic proportion stays the same. $100 in the denominator of the second fraction, maybe. This time the 30% will go on the top because it has the percent sign. that 30%, that percent symbol, trumps anything else. So no matter what other words are around it, like the word is, as soon as you see that percent symbol, that's the number that needs to go over 100. And it says of 90, so we'll put 90 down in the denominator, leaving x for in the numerator. So 100x equals 2,700. We'll divide each side by 100. And x will equal 27. This time, since we were not talking about a specific percent, you can just leave it as 27. 15% of 88. So again, 100, we'll put the 88 over here, and we'll do 15%, my x. So 100x equals 15 times 88. Can't do that one in my head. 1,320. We will divide each side by 100. And x will give you 13.2. Last thing we're going to do is move the x to the final place, the denominator of that first fraction. So I have my 12.5 on the top. 20 is, so 20 goes on top, x goes on the bottom. So I end up, when I cross multiply, 2,000 equals 16.5. Well, that'd just be 16.5. So 16.5, no, 12.5. Sorry guys, got myself confused. So it's going to be 12.5x. Divide each side by 12.5. So 2,000 divided by 12.5. And x is going to be 160. 75 is, we have 62% of what number? So we're looking for x. So 7,500 equals 65x. Divide each side by 65. So 7,500 divided by 65. I am getting 62. Not 65, sorry guys, that's a 62. So 7,500 divided by 62 will give us 121 when it rounds off. It's 120.967, and that will round to 121. So these are some problems that I'd like you to practice, so you go ahead and pause the video, try them on your own. When you turn the video back on, I'm not going to go through and solve each of the problems, but I will go down over the answer to each one of them. So for the first one, you should have gotten 70%. Number 2 is 69. Three is 25. Number 4 is 44. Number 5 is 210. Number 6 is 176.3. Number 7 is 95. And number 8 should be 27. If you have any specific questions on any of those 8, I'm more than happy to help you. Last one we need to look at is our traditional word problem. We're still going to have 100 on the bottom. 83 students like spaghetti, 40 lasagna, 33 mac and cheese, 22 fettuccine alfredo, 16 baked ziti, 15 pasta primavera, and 11 chose some other type of favorite pasta. We want to know what percentage of students chose lasagna. Well, we know that 40 students chose lasagna. In order to get our total amount, or the of piece, we need to add up all of the data that was given to us. So when I add up the students that like each meal, I end up with 220 total students that were surveyed. And of course, we're looking for X. So 220X equals 4,000. Divide each side by 220. 4,000 divided by 220 is 18.18 repeating. It is a percent, so again, you do need to make sure that you have that percent symbol written down. Homework tonight again is a worksheet. If you do not have it, again, double check the team calendar or the website. There should be a link for you to be able to print that out, or at least copy it down. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know.